Welcome to the Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast. This podcast is created for purpose-driven women just like you who crave more. On the Fruitful Faith podcast, you can expect Christ-centered conversations that will help you to cultivate a life that you and He love. We'll be talking about topics that matter, topics that impact your everyday life. We'll talk about anything from how to transition with grace, to what to do when you're overwhelmed, to how to be content and joyful right where God's got you. It's going to be good. Let's dive on in. Hey, and welcome back to the Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast. I'm Alexandra Cavell, a certified professional life coach and founder of Grace-Based Christian Coaching. Through GSCC, I help purpose-driven women to pursue their most intentional and Christ-centered lives. And speaking of, I know that's something that we could all use now more than ever, Christ-centered lives amidst a lot of uncertainty and unknowing. So there's some content that I had recently shared on what to do in warfare over on the GSCC blog. If you're not familiar with that, you can hop on over to gracebaskedchristiancoaching.com/blog, and you'll find a lot of good content over there. I think there are probably about 70 plus posts at this point. But I thought it could be helpful to adapt that content to the podcast too, because it seems like a lot of you guys really prefer kind of connecting through podcasts or audio. So we're going to do that today. And then I'm thinking that the next episode will likely get back to the goal setting series. Okay, so let's get into it. What to do in warfare. So to be direct, we're all being challenged right now in ways that we just couldn't probably have imagined. Maybe you're in shock that this is real life. Maybe you feel a shortness of breath when you wonder, how long is this really going to go on? Or maybe you're shaken by our failing economy and are worried about what's going to happen next. Or maybe you or someone in your family is just at a higher risk to catch this virus, and that's scary. So whatever it is, whatever your maybe is, just remember and know that you are not alone. So we're going to dig into a few simple questions on how to navigate this challenging time. And we'll just dive on in and get started. We're going to go through probably 4 key steps just so you know what to expect, some coaching questions, and I'll expand upon each of them in hopes that it's just going to really help you to navigate this challenging time and just feel equipped on what to do when it feels like you're in warfare. So step 1 first is it's simple but not easy, and it's allowing yourself to feel. So thinking about what is it that is most difficult right now? If you had to say, what would that be? Is it your circumstances? The fact that we can't connect with our loved ones in person, that we're only supposed to be going to the grocery store or on a walk. What is it? What's most difficult for you right now? Maybe it's actually just frustration with how you're handling things. Maybe the way you're showing up right now isn't what you would have hoped for. So whatever it is, just get really clear on what's actually most challenging and name that thing as a first step. It's almost as if it takes the power away a bit when we identify and we do that. So essentially, step 1, it's to allow yourself room to press in and process what's going on. And then next, you're going to want to prayerfully consider your relationship with the Lord. How have you invited Him into this challenge? How have you invited Him into this time? A question that I really love, and you might too, is the question, are you more focused on your problem or on God? And honestly, maybe this episode could be summed up in that one question. It's so simple, but so powerful. Are you more focused on your problem or on God? And then consider, are you placing anything in front of or between your relationship with Him? Maybe you're overwhelmed and feel like you don't have time to be with Him right now. Maybe you've got a lot of responsibility and you just feel at the end of your rope. But when we're in that place, when we are overwhelmed, when we feel like we're running on fumes, that's when we need Him more than ever. And I know, because I've been there before and told myself those things, that I don't have time, when that's actually the number one thing that I should be making time for. And maybe you're in that place. Another question is, what is the state of your spiritual health, over these past few weeks? So, how would you rate your spiritual health on a 1 to 10 scale? And then consider, what does it need to be at, again, on a 1 to 10 scale for the circumstances that we're facing? So maybe you are at a 4, but you feel like you would probably need to be at a 9 to manage through what you're doing right now well. So consider, how can you bridge whatever the gap is that you have? How can you bridge that gap? What would help with that? And then what are maybe some distractions that are getting in the way of your relationship and your connection to the Lord? Maybe right now, I mean, I understand sometimes just a movie or a show, an escape, if you will, is just a really welcome distraction. And it feels great in the moment, perhaps. But the thing is, that's not lasting. So consider, what is it that fills you up? What is it that really truly gives you that joy? And so maybe that could look like prayer. It could look like worship music, just sitting and soaking it in. Perhaps it's journaling or even connecting with other sisters in Christ or family members. Whatever it is for you, could make a commitment to yourself to do that thing. And then I know something I've done that you might want to consider too is asking yourself the question, am I going to Him or am I going to social media to experience connection and community and to alleviate fears? So, a lot of hard questions to get honest with yourself, but ones that when we do go to that place, we can just see such fruit and change when we recognize how things are maybe going, what they look like, and then what they perhaps could look like to kind of get us the results that our hearts are craving at this time. So, we talked through the first couple of steps, and now we're through about halfway to step 3. And so as we think about this, James 4:7 jumped out to me recently. And it says to submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. So kind of almost at this time, it feels like a spiritual attack can come on strong and maybe even without warning at times lately. And it makes me think of the question, what is it that you need to submit to the Lord? What is it that you need to submit to the Lord? So maybe is it, your expectations? Perhaps you can find it easy to spiral into thinking how awful this could get, what might happen with your job, what could happen with your family members, you name it. It's really easy to do that at times. Maybe as you think about what to submit, maybe it looks like your attachment to the outcome of all of this. Perhaps you're resting in a certain date that life will be back to normal. When such and such date hits, I'll just have to make it till then. But what if that changes? What if that changes? It's just something to be aware of and consider, what are we putting our trust in? What are we putting our trust in? Another question that I've heard before that might apply and be powerful to this situation is, are you consumed more with the gifts than the giver? So, are we more concerned with quote unquote normal life, or are we more concerned and consumed with and caring about who our Heavenly Father is and what kind of a difference and impact that makes? So, again, the question here for you guys is, what is it that you need to submit to the Lord? And then our final step 4, is to essentially ask yourself, what do you need to surrender, trust Him with, or leave at His feet? To be open, for me personally, it might be being consumed with looking too far ahead. That's when I notice things can start to feel a bit scary. And thankfully, the Lord prompted me with Matthew 6:34. That's what came to mind. And that says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So after you identify what to surrender and trust Him with, then you might want to consider, when you surrender whatever it is, when you trust Him with whatever that is, when you give it to Him, how might life change? Maybe you're going to feel lighter when you do that. Maybe you'll just feel this sense of being at peace. Perhaps this overwhelming sense of hope will pervade your space and your heart. Or maybe just feeling content, just really feeling a sense of joy that you haven't, contentment that you haven't for quite some time. Then you might want to think, what growth might he have in store for you through this process? He uses all things for good for those who love him, for those who are called according to his purpose, as Romans 8:28 says. So what gems has Jesus planted for you specifically along these past and upcoming several weeks? And then last but not least, what will it feel like? What will it feel like to be on the other side of this? What is the word that comes to mind? Is it glory, change, life, community? What will it feel like, do you think, to be on the other side of this? It can be unhealthy to look too far ahead, but also, giving yourself that perspective that this is not, there's a season for everything. This is not a season that's going to last forever. So remember that. So friend, I pray that these simple questions and these steps that we walked through, that they are providing you with significant hope. I pray that you'll experience transformation through your reflection and prayer with him, and that these questions really act as powerful prompts for you. And then I pray that you remember God is unchanging, he's sovereign, and he's mighty to save. And then one more thing, I'd encourage you to not only invite him in your world in a bigger way right now, but also, consider who you can share your new perspective with. Who else needs to hear this message? Or who would lovingly hold you accountable to your commitments as you work through these questions yourself? Maybe you want to send them this podcast and then discuss it together. Maybe you want to simply have a conversation, whatever it is. Who is he calling you to bring in? Because with him and through community, we can make it through. We don't have to do it alone. And then if you want to interact in another way, got something really exciting to share with you. And if you follow me over on Instagram, I'm at Grace-Based Christian Coaching. You might have seen, I'd recently asked if you'd be interested in the Art of Gratitude. It's our most popular workshop, a virtual version of it. So we're actually offering it right now at a limited time and at a limited special rate too. And so I'll share a bit more about that in a second, but this was something I was thinking of doing for y'all later in this year, but clearly things in this world have changed, and I'm thinking that it could be a really good thing to be able to work through this workshop at this time too. I've created a whole page if you want to check it out on the website for this. And you can do that through heading on over to gracebaskedchristiancoaching.com/art of gratitude. But a couple quick things. One of the participants, you can read some other kind notes for people who've gone through this before previously. And one of the things that someone had said that I really think encompasses the workshop well is it's from Misty. Her name's Misty S. And she says that this workshop reminded me to see the blessings in my challenges and to change my perspective. Couldn't we use that right now? Seeing the blessing in our challenge and having a refreshed perspective. So I'll share a quick summary of the course just so you can hear in case this is something that you want to take advantage of. So the Art of Gratitude course, here's what you can expect. So is it important to set goals? Absolutely. What might be even more critical, however, is living with gratitude. Living from a place of abundance, it turns what we have into more than enough. So in this course, we'll review what it means to be grateful and why that's important. You'll get clarity on what gratitude looks like for you now and what you'd like it to be in the future. We'll unpack how gratitude changes things and discuss why it's a valuable skill to practice throughout your lifetime. You'll work through an in-depth exercise on how to use gratitude to navigate through a difficult circumstance that you're currently walking through. And then we'll also set strategies to incorporate gratitude into your life and how to proactively keep your gratitude practice strong, even when things get hard. So again, if that's something that you want to purchase, our gratitude workshop course, it's simple, it's short, but it's power-packed. It's just over 30 minutes of content. You can head on over to gracebaskedchristiancoaching.com/art of gratitude. There's a button to purchase. It'll send me an email that you're interested. I'll shoot you on over an invoice, and when you pay that, you will get a direct link to the course. So, friend, that is what I've got for you today. What to do in warfare, those powerful questions. And then you are among the first to know that the Art of Gratitude online workshop is live. So good talking with you, and can't wait for next time. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Fruitful Faith Women on Mission podcast. If you love this episode, I would love for you to subscribe. New episodes will automatically show up on your phone when you subscribe. It's super convenient, and you'll make sure you never miss a thing. So excited to share more with you soon.